Hey, hi everyone. I'm excited to welcome you all to September's Lunch and Learn. My name is Ashley Bennis, and I am the Clean Coast Texas Coordinator located at Texas A&M Corpus Christi at the Heart Research Institute. To start, I have to do a few housekeeping items. Please ensure to mute your mics to help with sound quality and to prevent background noises while our speakers are presenting. Use chat for the questions and to introduce yourself and if you have any technical questions or concerns, please use that as well and we'll get to you as soon as we can. We are recording today's webinar and we'll be posting it on our YouTube page, Heart Research Institute's YouTube page. So feel free to check out all of the other videos that we've had up to this year. All right. On our agenda for today, I will briefly give a high-level overview of the Clean Coast Texas project, then pass it over to our two speakers. After they present, we will have a question and answer session with the time that we have left. During this time, you may use the chat, like I said, or you can come off mute, turn on your video, and ask the question directly. So we're open to all of that. As always, these webinars would not run smoothly if not for the team behind the scenes. I will be facilitating the webinar and the Q&A session. Sarah Wingfield with the Meadows Center for Water and Environment at Texas State University will be our tech guru, making sure that everything runs smoothly behind the scene. And Megan Martinez with the General Land Office is our project manager and will be joining to answer any questions that may arise related to the program. I'm excited to share that our next Lunch and Learn is scheduled for October 23rd at 11 a.m. So next month, we are inviting Dr. Paul Matania to speak about his work studying freshwater inflows at our bays and estuaries on the coast. It should be a really interesting talk, so keep a lookout for the registration link and be sure to join us. Okay, now on to our scheduled programming. I wanted to provide a short background of our program before introducing our speakers. For those of you who may not know, Clean Coast Texas is an initiative of the Texas Coastal Non-Point Source Pollution Program. We are a collaborative of different stakeholders coming together to engage with coastal communities to achieve ecological, economic, and public health goals. We provide services and technical assistance to address water quality concerns and protect coastal communities through building resilience. We have invited our speakers today to share about the great work that they do in each of their regions to build resilience and improve water quality. So, our first speaker today is Kathryn Tunnell, who has served as the project manager with the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program for the past decade. She is overseeing projects ranging from shoreline protection and habitat restoration to marine debris removal and water quality improvement. For the past 2.5 years, she has managed Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program on-site sewage facility project, or OSSF, as you may hear, might use those interchangeably. And this is in the Baffin Bay watershed system, working closely with partners and stakeholders to identify and replace failing septic systems. Before joining Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program, Kathryn worked for both the Texas General Land Office and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Kathryn will provide an overview of efforts to identify and address the causes of water quality degradation in the Baffin Bay and its watershed. Our other speaker today is Bill Ervin, who is a senior planner in the Community and Environmental Department at the Houston-Galveston Area Council. Since joining the department in 2023, Bill leads H-GAC's Homeowner Wastewater Assistance Program, which provides funding to qualified homeowners for the repair and replacement of failing conventional septic systems or aerobic on-site sewage facilities. Bill also works with the Water Resources team to develop water quality management plans and strategies. Before joining the Houston-Galveston Area Council, Bill was a project manager in wastewater, groundwater, and soil geology with the local municipalities and public and private companies. Bill is joining us today to discuss H-GAC's OSSF program and the ways it supports watershed-based planning to address bacterial improvements. So without further ado, I am going to pass the screen and the mic over to Kathryn to kick us off. Okay, I see it, Kathryn.
We're good? Okay, let me get my screen adjusted here. Okay, thanks, Ashley, for the introduction. Like Ashley said, I'm a project manager with the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program. For the last 2.5 years, I've been managing our OSSF Assistance Program to address water quality concerns in the Baffin Bay watershed. I'm happy to be here today to share our experience. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program, we are one of 28 national estuary programs in the country. Our program area is the 12 coastal counties of the Texas Coastal Bend. And within our program area, we have 3 major drainage basins you can see on the map, and that includes 6 bay systems and 10 watersheds, I believe. We are a nonprofit organization working to implement our Coastal Bend Bays Plan, which is our management plan. And this identifies priority areas ranging from education and conservation to habitat and living resources, water and sediment quality, coastal birds, public access, and more. All of these were identified by stakeholders. We're stakeholder driven. Each year we hold a series of stakeholder meetings in those priority areas. From the plan where current issues and needs are brought to the table, we work to develop projects to address those needs, and our OSSF Assistance Program came from this process back in 2022, 2023. Before we jump into the OSSF Assistance Program, though, I did want to set the stage a little bit. Baffin Bay is a bay system within our program area that's been coined the jewel of the Texas coast. You can see it on the map down there indicated by the gold star. It is surrounded by one of the world's largest ranches, bordered by one of the longest undeveloped barrier islands, Padre Island, and is part of one of the world's largest hypersaline lagoons, the Upper Laguna Madre, or the Laguna Madre. It was coined the jewel of the Texas coast because of its world-renowned fishing for black drum, trout, and redfish. Because of the fishery, it's a major contributor to the economy of the Texas Coastal Bend through commercial and recreational fishing and tourism. I personally grew up fishing in Baffin Bay in the 70s and the 80s with my grandmother, and I cannot pass up an opportunity to look at old fishing pictures. So that's me there in the black and white photo in the Kingsville Record newspaper from probably the early 80s on the shoreline of Baffin Bay fishing with my grandmother in the background. She's in all the pictures with all the fish. Very successful fishery back then. So back to maps. Here's a look at the Baffin Bay watershed. There are Baffin Bays in the bottom right-hand corner with the black dot. There's 3 tributaries. We have the Petronilla Creek tributary. It's kind of outlined in pink. The San Fernando Creek tributary outlined in green, and then the Los Olmos Creek tributary at the bottom in tan. If you'll notice, San Fernando Creek and Petronilla Creek are both indicated in red at the time of the map. Both of those creeks were impaired, and Los Olmos Creek was not listed as impaired at that time. It has since been declared impaired, and I'll get to that, more of that here in a little bit. The watershed is 1.5 million acres. It's characterized by minimal freshwater inflows. All 3 streams flowing into Baffin Bay are intermittent. The only freshwater entering the system on a regular basis is from wastewater treatment plants and then seasonal rain events. So despite being so isolated, which in this day and age is a good thing with development pressure everywhere, despite that, the future of the bay as a healthy, productive system started to be questioned. Brown tide was first observed in the bay in the late 80s, fed by nutrients from runoff and decaying fish. It continued sporadically ever since, causing the loss of habitat changes and changes to the food web dynamics. And there's also been major fish kills in the years listed there in under the photo, coinciding with hypoxia and brown tide events. So in 2012, after about 20 years of this on and off algal blooms and habitat changes, an event happened that got everybody's attention. The black drum that were being caught were emaciated, and the flesh of the fish was jelly-like, and the fish could just not be harvested. They were starving because their primary food source had died off. The food web was basically collapsing. And this affected everyone. It affected the communities, it affected the tourism, the entire commercial and recreational fishing industry. So a group of local fishermen got together, reached out to A&M, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and they started a volunteer water quality monitoring program. That has now been taking water quality samples monthly for over 13 years. And through that volunteer sampling, the group was able to identify water quality hotspots and when and where that they would occur. So the results of the water quality monitoring program, the results that were showing attracted the attention of like a larger group of folks and eventually led to the formation of the Baffin Bay stakeholder group. This group started small and has grown to over 350 members with broad representation from citizens, anglers, ag producers, state and federal agencies, NGOs, local government, private industry, and academia. And they realized to get to the bottom of this and try to turn things around, they needed a watershed protection plan. So the watershed protection plan was put together by the stakeholders in a process led by the Texas Water Resource Institute. And a watershed protection plan for San Fernando Creek and Petronilla Creek was finalized in 2022. At the time, Los Olmos Creek could not be included because it wasn't a listed water body. It's since been listed, and they're in the planning stages of including it in the plan. But for now, it's just those two tributaries. The watershed protection plan looked at water quality data and land uses. How's the land being used? What are the potential sources of problems? The protection plan identified voluntary management measures to help improve water quality in those tributaries, and those measures essentially identified the sources of the problems. With a very large ranch in the watershed, in the past it was easy for folks to point the finger at ag, and they did, but really there's a lot more going on. It's very rural, lots of residential and septic. There's stormwater issues when and if it rained. Dumping inflows were largely from wastewater treatment plants, as I mentioned earlier, and then the wastewater treatment plant infrastructure was also failing. All of these things have led us to where we are today. So with OSSF identified in the watershed protection plan as an area that needed to be addressed, and through the Baffin Bay stakeholder group, we were able to find and collaborate with other organizations interested in or already working on OSSFs in the region. It's estimated there's about a little over 9,000 septic systems in the 2 out of those 3 tributaries that feed into Baffin Bay, and it's estimated 15% of them were failing or malfunctioning. We were careful to work with our partners so that we didn't overlap in scope or services. There's a lot of people already working on this. Texas Water Resource Institute had funding for education and outreach, inspections and pump outs. Nueces County had funding for replacements. Nueces River Authority had previous experience with the replacement program and on the Nueces River, and as well as some replacement money. And we at the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program had recently received Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act funding, which was previously BIL, that could be used for replacements. Since the Nueces River Authority had previous experience with the replacement program, we contracted with them to implement our assistance program, and we're careful not to overlap with other efforts. We focused on Colonias in the Jim Wells County part of the Baffin Bay watershed. If you are unfamiliar with Colonias, they are unincorporated small communities in South Texas, many times without utilities, and they're often on septic and well water. And these are some of our most vulnerable communities. Our OSSF Assistance Program had three components. We had community engagement, inspections, and then replacements. Because of the types of communities we were targeting, community engagement was extremely important. These communities are skeptical of government help. The most common thing I heard from them is, we'll see, we've been promised things before. And so we partnered with the Voices of the Colonias, which is a nonprofit organization led by Ana Garcia. She's an advocate for Colonia communities and helps connect them to the things that they need. She helped us reach them and be received by them. And in addition, the Nueces River Authority held outreach nights and community meetings. At these events, the folks tended to be interested but skeptical and nervous. Many of their systems were unpermitted or out of compliance with current regulations. We were very upfront with them at the beginning. We were not there to turn them in. We were there to help. The application was a very simple one page with minimal information. We basically asked for your name and your address. We didn't need income or anything else to get started. And right off the bat, we had over 100 applications. Our funding was only enough for about 40 replacements. And so again, we got back together with all our partners working on this and decided how to divide them up based on funding sources and requirements. Since our program's main goal was to improve water quality in the tributaries of Baffin Bay, we prioritized the replacements only by their proximity to stream. So the ones closest ranked the highest and got done first. The original plan was to separate out inspections and replacements, hoping that we wouldn't have to replace everything. Hopefully there would be some repairs in there, and then we could go out for bid on the repairs and replacements. That didn't end up happening. Every single septic system or non-existent septic system that was inspected needed to be replaced. We saw everything from no septic system, just a pit on the ground, to non-functioning to not repairable. So everything had to be replaced. Like I said earlier, we had funding enough for about 40 systems. We started them in November of 2024, so it's been almost a year, doing 2 to 3 per month. So we should be finished up with that group by the end of the year. There's a couple of pictures on this slide of replacements happening, as well as a map showing the locations of all the septics replaced. You can see their location in relation to Baffin Bay, which is in the bottom right corner of the picture. There's a couple little outliers, one in San Patricio County. We had 2 buckets of money from the bipartisan infrastructure law to do these replacements. One had to be used in the Baffin Bay watershed, and the other one could be expanded out to Nueces and San Patricio County. So we do have a couple of outliers. So lessons learned or being learned, we're not quite finished yet. The community members were skeptical of our help. And I mentioned that earlier, and that can be a real barrier. Many didn't have internet, and cell service was spotty in these rural areas. So communications was difficult. OSSF maintenance and care was generally not a priority for them, and just a general lack of awareness of environmental concerns, water quality, and how even coming into contact with the septic water could affect them. So things that helped us were partnering with the Voices of the Colonias was a huge help. Having someone that everyone trusted as an intermediary was very, very helpful. We kept it simple. We had in-person meetings and phone calls. We did no Zoom. It was very low tech. We went to them, we attended their events, and kind of met them in their places. All of the materials and communications were in both Spanish and English. And the Nueces River Authority staff that interacted with the applicants and the contractors also was fluent in both languages. And lastly, we didn't ask for a bunch of information that we didn't need, or would be hard for them to get. We didn't ask for income information, old septic certifications. We just kept it very simple. Our goal was water quality. So I'd like to wrap it up by circling back to the watershed protection plan and the voluntary management measures that were included in the plan. Because if you recall, OSSFs were just one of those 7 measures identified. This is a slide put together by Bringing Baffin Back. Bringing Baffin Back is an initiative to restore Baffin Bay's health, led by the Heart Research Institute and partners. And its coordinator, Athena Frasca, keeps us all organized and focused. So this slide highlights some of the many other projects that are being implemented right now in the watershed to restore Baffin Bay's health, all being guided by the Watershed Protection Plan, so you can see how the OSSF Assistance Program fits in. There is a lot of education and outreach happening, led by HRI, the Texas Water Resource Institute, Voices of the Colonias, the Nueces River Authority. The CBBEP implemented a 3-year program called Up to You Plus to fight illegal dumping by providing dumpsters and tire recycling in rural communities. We have prioritized green infrastructure projects like installing rain gardens on school properties. These treat the stormwater, but also provide an excellent educational opportunity. And then we have NRCS in Texas. I'm going to mess that up, is working with TSSWC, is working with the landowners, ag landowners, to establish riparian corridors to help treat runoff before it enters the system. And let's see what else is on here. We also have been working with a private property owner to design a 240-acre constructed wetland to remove pollutants from Petronella Creek tributary. So as you can see, we're tackling this from every angle. And there's just a lot going on. How long is it going to take to see water quality improvements from these things? Well, the Watershed Protection Plan has 5-year goals that are reevaluated. It took us over 30 years to get into this situation, so it's going to take some time to get back. But we're confident with this Watershed Protection Plan in place and Athena kind of leading the charge with the Bringing Baffin Back initiative that we are well on our way. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to share our experience with all of you guys. And I'll take questions if we have time, or if we're waiting to the end, I can do that too.
Thank you, Kathryn. That was really interesting. A lot of great work. We will, so if you guys have questions, throw them in the chat and we will give some time at the end to do that. So I'm going to pass it off now to Bill. You want to turn on your camera and then share your screen. Loving the support we're getting here.
Let me know if you can hear me and see my screen.
Everything looks and sounds great, Bill. You're good to go. Thank you.
Very good. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank Kathryn. That was an excellent presentation, and there's a lot of correlations that I've noticed on our side that tie in with hers, even though we are from a much more populated and larger region. But there's a lot of ideas that I've gotten, and I'd like to circle back with her and run some ideas by her. So thank you, Kathryn. That was excellent. So my name is Bill Ervin. We've already been through the introductions. I'm with Houston-Galveston Area Council. For those of you that may not be familiar with H-GAC, it's a 13-county regional council of governments that works to resolve area-wide problems, not just environmental, but transportation, plenty other opportunities too. So today I'd like to share briefly an introduction of OSSFs. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but I'll just give you a little highlights of that. How H-GAC collects OSSF data for our system, our mapping system. I'll give you a quick peek into our OSSF mapping system, which is available for anybody on this call. It's externally facing. I'm going to touch on how H-GAC works to prevent and remediate bacterial pollution. I'm going to give some highlights of our homeowner wastewater assistance program, which has some similarities to Kathryn's, but also some differences. And I'm going to finish with an overview of a current project that we are working with at H-GAC on OSSFs. I get a little dry mouth when I present, so sorry about that. So on-site sewage facilities, as Ashley mentioned, often referred to as OSSFs, are a common, they're commonly referred to as septic systems, but it's important to know that not all OSSFs are septic systems. There are aerobic systems and also anaerobic systems. Anaerobic systems are true septic systems, and they've been around for over 100 years. The newer ones are the aerobic systems. Typically, you see OSSFs in rural areas, but that's not always the case. They're often in areas where sanitary sewers are not available. Typical residential systems treat between 500 and 1,000 gallons of sewage a day. Some of them can be larger. And then the purpose of them is to treat sewage and remove contaminants before they reach surface water or groundwater. The map you see on this slide is within our 13 county region is the density of OSSFs, red being the most dense and green being the least. I want to make note that the far west county is Colorado County, and you don't see very many dots or colors there. That's not because they don't have OSSFs. We just haven't managed to get a whole lot of information, permit information from them yet, but we're continuing to work on that. So here's some latest numbers from 2024. To collect OSSF data, H-GAC coordinates with our regional and county authorized agents to collect and process new OSSF permits data each year. We request the prior year's permit information from 13 counties. We also grab information from Grimes and San Jacinto counties, which are actually outside of our region, but we include them because they're part of our Clean Rivers Program basin, and they intersect with those counties. So they're included in these numbers too. We have, as you can see, about just short of 350,000 OSSFs. Approximately 60% of those are unpermitted, whether they were old grandfathered in or they were put in illegally or whatever. There's probably 60% of them that are unpermitted that we have no record of. Last year in 2024, we had 6,000 new permitted systems added to the system. So right now our estimates are about 150,000 permitted and about 190,000 unpermitted. And if we used Kathryn's, if we used Kathryn's estimate of 15% are failing, which that's very close to what we use between 12 to 15%. Of those 350,000, that means 50,000 of those are probably failing. So how do we gather unpermitted OSSF data? We use what we call a 911 addresses methodology to estimate the number of potential unpermitted systems within the region. And based on this methodology, we've gathered we started about 3 or 4 years ago, we have about 190,000 unpermitted. The map you see on that screen is the unpermitted OSSFs. So now I'm going to toggle over. I want to do a quick show of our database and the mapping database that has the OSSF information in it. Let's see if we can get this to go smoothly. Please let me know verbally if you can see the map.
Yes.
Okay.
That was smooth. So good job.
Very good. Very good. So again, the QR code you see or the link you see at the bottom of the slide we had prior will get you this. Anybody can access this, play around with it, look through it, whatever. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. I'm not the expert at this, but we have plenty of folks on staff that are much more adept than me. So I'm going to scroll back out a little bit here. Maybe not that much. So you should see the counties within our region outlined in gray, and that's our region. So if I went over into Fort Bend County and I wanted to scroll in a little bit, you'll start to see some of the OSSFs pop up. And there you can see some of them are very dense, some are not. I'll try to find a good one, but you can actually click on them. And you can see at the top, it says 1 of 2. So there's two screens within this pop-up. And the second one should give us a little bit more information on that. This one does not have a lot. It has the lat long. It has this in Richmond, Texas, and in Fort Bend. Some of them will give you a permit number, a permit date, system type, etc. I'm not going to spend too much time here. You can play with it. I'll just try another one to see if we can get maybe a little more information for you. Let's see what this one has. This is on Upper Oyster Creek in Fort Bend County. Again, not much on there, but some of these you'll be able to see the permit number, the permit date, the type of system there, in the city that it's at. You've got menus on the lower, on the right hand side, and on the left hand side, and it shows different. One of the maps you saw I showed earlier was the density. So I actually grabbed that from this tool too, so you can see where they're the most dense. But there's plenty of ways to do. You can draw polygons. There's a lot of stuff you can do down here. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to make you aware of it. Play with it. If you're interested, play with it. If you have any questions with it, please reach out to us and we can help you with that. So now I'm going to attempt to toggle back to the presentation and then move to the next screen. Can you see that?
Yes, it looks great.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to touch on bacterial pollution prevention and remediation for this next piece. Everyone knows that household wastewater contains bacteria, whether you're running through a sanitary sewer or a OSSF. Broken or malfunctioning OSSs can not only affect the homeowner, but also cause bacterial pollution in local surface water. And E. coli is the primary indicator bacteria of this pollution. Bacterial impaired water bodies indicate areas where contact recreational use is discouraged. These impaired bodies can pollute other downstream creeks, rivers, bayous, and bays. And an impaired or polluted water body presents a public health risk and also can pollute your groundwater and even water wells surrounding the area. My disclaimer is Kathryn had a lot better pictures than me, so I apologize about that. So H-GAC addresses bacteria in our watersheds in many different ways, but at a high level, H-GAC works with Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, to manage watershed protection plans and total maximum daily load projects for Harris County and the surrounding regional counties within H-GAC. The stakeholders in H-GAC create watershed-based plans to determine our strategies to reduce bacteria for several of the regional watersheds within our region. And as part of these plans, maintaining OSSS functions and homeowner education are highlighted as part of our typical plans. This map is just, and I know it's probably pretty small, but this is just a representation of all the TMDL or watershed protection plans we have within the region. If you are interested in learning a little bit more about these or participating as a stakeholder in the development of these plans, we would welcome you. Please reach out to me, and again, I can put you in contact with the correct person for that watershed. So homeowners can also address bacterial pollution at the source, which would be their OSSF. Homeowner maintenance is a key piece of keeping their OSSFs working properly and maintaining the surrounding water quality. Whether you have a conventional septic or anaerobic system, routine maintenance is essential for effective operations. Both the systems, regardless of the system you have, you should have routine pump outs every 3 to 5 years. And by conducting routine maintenance on the systems, the homeowner can ensure the OSSF is working properly, minimize repairs or replacement costs, prevent the contamination of area, ground, and surface water, and ensure clean drinking water from area groundwater wells. So by not maintaining your system, it can be incur some hefty price tags. So an OSS installation can be between 10 to 15,000, and even just some routine maintenance can be up close to $1,000. So it's not cheap, and some of the vulnerable communities and homeowners we work with, that's a lot of money to them. So with these hefty costs for repairs and replacements, it's often difficult for some homeowners to keep their systems operating properly. So H-GAC has a homeowner wastewater assistance program, which provides assistance to qualifying homeowners to repair or replace malfunctioning or failing OSSFs. I'm going to take a sip of water here. Some of the funds that we have for this program can also be used for sludge removal, pump outs, and we can even tie in sanitary sewers for some locations. We actually did that last summer. It was last summer in Galveston. We tied in a homeowner that was on a failing OSSF to Galveston's sanitary sewer. It's important to notice that when we go in and help these folks, they do not have any charges, or any portion of the cost is applied to them. We cover that all. Here are the qualifications for the homeowners. The one thing that Kathryn had mentioned, that they do not do household income requirements, which I love that idea. But we do require. We want them to own and reside in the home. We don't want it to be a second home for them, a vacation home down in Galveston or Brazoria County. We want it to be their primary residence, because typically, if the person has a second home, they're not the kind of folks that we're really working to try to help as much as the ones that really can't afford it and that's their primary residence. The eligible counties are all the counties that we have within our region. Those are listed there. And each of the counties has a median household income, and we require that they be at or below 80% of that median income. We do require an inspection to make sure whether it's failing or malfunctioning, or if it just needs a pump out, possibly. And we have a homeowner wastewater education workshop that the applicants should attend. So Kathryn kind of embarrassed me with her numbers, because they did 40 in the last year and a half, and we've done 34 since 2018. We've repaired 12, and we've done 24 pump outs. Our wait list right now is, I have an asterisk by 33 because I think we have a few more in there, but that's our current wait list for all the counties. I'm going to toggle back over again real quick. See if we can get this to work correctly. Again, this QR code or the site below goes to our external website on-site sewage facilities. And this is just a kind of a place to consolidate a lot of the information that we have at H-GAC for the program. We're just talking about the Homeowner Wastewater Assistance Program. There's a small video on there. We have video training modules 1 through 5 for the homeowner on how to understand and maintain their system. We do not have that in Spanish yet. We are working on that here in the next few months, but we do have the course in a PDF, kind of a PowerPoint format that you get access to that's in Spanish. As was mentioned before, we try to do all of our training and communications and outreach in English and Spanish, and our next on the list is we're going to try to include Vietnamese. Within our region, there's a high population of Vietnamese folks too. So anyway, this is just a central point where the mapping tool, on-site sewage facility data that I showed earlier, you can access that through this site too, right there. And that's it. Hopefully you'll be back to the presentation. And the challenges that we have are very, very similar to what Kathryn discussed. The homeowner trust in the program and resources is one of the largest ones we have. I'm gonna digress here just a second. We had a homeowner we were helping down in Brazoria County with his system, and when we first met with him at a public meeting, he was a little snippy, and you could tell he wasn't sure. It was kind of like, we're from the government, we're here to help, and they didn't quite. He wasn't quite sure of that. We signed him up. He qualified. The day we were going down there, he said he almost called me up and told me, don't come because I don't trust what you guys are doing. I talked with him again, told him that we weren't here to turn anything in. Like Kathryn said, we're not here to turn you in for anything. We're just here to help you out and get out of your way. And after we were done, the gentleman was extremely appreciative. But that's a challenge that we have to go through quite often with the resources. The project I'm going to talk about here after this is in a highly Hispanic area, and I know that we're going to face some challenges there. We're hoping by having some folks that are on the ground in that area that speak Spanish fluently, we can get that moving forward. The other one is, and I guess this is one of the challenges why we have not had as many as we would like to, is scarce and sporadic funding. We just don't get a lot of money where we can go in and replace a lot of systems within a community to make an environmental, a huge environmental difference. So that's another one of the challenges. I'm not going to read this. I just wanted to share this is what one of the homeowners provided some feedback after we assisted them. So one of the current projects that we are working on is also part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, or they're calling it the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This project is administered through the Galveston Bay Estuary Program. As you can see, the area in the white is our region, and the one in the tan or brown is the lower Galveston Bay watershed, and its coverage is for that entire area. And we have funding to repair or replace up to 25 OSSFs and conduct homeowner education workshops. So to identify vulnerable communities that we wanted to focus on within the lower Galveston Bay watershed, we took we have a regional population analysis tool to identify communities that are vulnerable. So what we did was we tried to overlap low to moderate income households with high concentration of OSSFs near impaired waterways. But we also wanted to avoid areas where service connection projects for sanitary sewer are in the process of being funded or secured. So the two communities that popped up immediately within the lower Galveston Bay watershed was one in the Aldine, and I misspelled Aldine. Sorry about that. I think I did. No, I didn't. Aldine and East Aldine area and the Hammond Park or Beaumont Place neighborhoods. East Aldine is just north of, just near North Houston. And then the other location is near where old Highway 90 and just west of Beltway 8. So our plan is to start with East Aldine. That is our first area. We're going to conduct homeowner workshops and identify communities. We hope to get that done in October and start repair or replacement of up to 25 in November. And finishing everything up, we're going to calculate the bacterial load reduction based on the number of systems repaired or replaced. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't think we would get this done if we weren't working closely with the East Aldine Management District staff to coordinate a plan for the workshops and the outreach. So this is a busy map. This is the East Aldine area. If you're familiar with this, 45 is along the left-hand margin there. Hardy Toll Road is kind of near the middle left, going north to south. And then Highway 69 is on the right side of your screen going north to south. The dots represent OSSFs in the area. And based on our analysis, 8 for the entire lower Galveston Bay watershed, 8 of the 15 highest priority communities were in this East Aldine area. The 2 highest in this of the 8 that you see circled here, the 2 highest are the ones over on the left-hand side. But we are not going to, there's efforts with the Aldine Management District to actually put these on sanitary sewer in the near future, so we're not going to address those. We're going to address this one that's on the far right. Oh, I know the other thing I wanted to, one more point. The watersheds within here, if you'll see at the top, if you can follow my pointer, this is Greens Bayou that kind of goes from the north over to the east. And then down here, you'll see that starts near 45. This is Halls Bayou. It goes off the screen, but just slightly right of where this image is where Greens and Hall tie together. And again, the area that we're going to be focusing on is this area right here. If we cannot complete 25 OSSF replacements there, we will probably move to this one that's on the south side of the picture with the red circle around it. That is all I had. I hope that that everybody got some information that was valuable out of that, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, that was very informative, very interesting. We just have about 10 minutes left for questions, and I've been collecting the ones that you've been throwing in the chat. So thank you, everyone. And yes, thank you for turning on your camera. Okay, so a couple of things for Kathryn. Were there any ordinances or regulations created to facilitate the inspection program?
No, I don't believe any. The Nueces River Authority worked with the Jim Wells County folks that actually do the septic certifications. And I don't believe anything new had to be created for the inspection program.
Right. Yeah, and with those watershed protection plans, it's very voluntary kind of.
Very voluntary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, for Bill, or maybe for both of you, maybe this would be helpful because I've got to get this question a couple times, is maybe provide some examples of sources of funding that have been used for these types of programs. I think it's particularly with the H-GAC programs, but if Kathryn, if you have any funding sources you want to share to jump in.
Yeah, I can start. Our funding came from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. All of our funding came from them. And I did want to clarify that we chose that money at the time was prioritized to be used in disadvantaged communities as defined by the EPA. And so when we chose to work in those colonias, they were disadvantaged using this government tool, and so their income level was already established as being very low. And so that's why we didn't ask them for any of their income information, because we already knew based on the community that we were in. But also down here, so Nueces County is doing replacements, and they just got a bunch of money from the GLO. I believe it was over 2 million to continue, and part of the Baffin Bay watershed is in Nueces County. And then TCEQ has provided money to the Nueces River Authority. I don't want to speak for the Texas Water Resource Institute, but I'm not sure where their funding came from. But it seems like there's been several avenues as of late.
Thank you. Bill?
Yes. So the BIL is the project I just spoke about, was through the BIL, definitely. We've actually have another one out, another grant opportunity that we're hoping to get fulfilled that's also with EPA. Typically, the funding we get some from TCQ on supplemental environmental projects that fines that organizations might get or companies might get. They put it into a SEP for us to be able to spend that for OSSF replacements. But we also get it we used to get stuff from Harris County District Attorney. We haven't received that in a while. They've helped us replace home, and that wasn't strictly to Harris County, was throughout our whole region. We do have some corporations that help us out. Olin helps us out, but they only help us out with Brazoria County because they have a lot of folks that work at the refineries down there. Wells Fargo's helped us out. Dow has helped us out. So, but I will say that that's our constant challenge, is to get the money in the funds to be able to help these folks. The list of people we have to help is a lot longer than the funds we have. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's helpful. That's a good list to start everyone off with. Let's see, there is a lot of great questions. And if some of your questions don't get answered, I'm going to send them to Kathryn and Bill separately and then send it in the follow-up email for everyone to know. For Kathryn, were the OSSF owners receptive to how to maintain their new septic systems? Do you think they can care more now that they were educated, or will they possibly be an issue again in a few years?
We discussed this. They're definitely interested. I mean, they're getting a free septic system, and so while we're engaging with them, things are all very positive. We educate them. We did discuss the need for looking for funding because of the types of these communities. I mean, still septics are not their priority. I mean, their priority is food on the table and utilities and
Yep.
And so we did discuss the need for finding funding for maintenance and just kind of continuing education, but also helping them maintain it, paying for inspections and pump outs. And we're not quite there yet. We've just started doing these replacements, so we have a little time to get that in place.
I was going to follow up with that too. When you replace typically the systems we replaced, even if they were a prior septic or anaerobic system, we replace them with aerobic systems. And that comes with a 2-year maintenance agreement, which is all fine and dandy for the first 2 years. But like Kathryn said, after that second year, they're required to renew that. But do they have the fund? I mean, that might not be, that's probably 10th or 11th on their things that they have on their list to pay. So it is a problem. We're actually looking for opportunities to be able to help pay for that too, moving forward.
Okay, moving forward, kind of the future of that.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Let's see, 5 minutes still. Awesome. How do you, no, let's jump to this one. Can you say a little more, Bill, about the 911 address methodology for estimating unpermitted OSSFs?
I knew somebody was going to ask that. I knew it before. No. I knew it before I even started this meeting. It's an excellent question. I am not an expert at it, but it ties in with, they do so the 911, when you call 911 in case of emergency, they can track to kind of generally where it's at. And we utilize that process with the homes associated, along with any OSSFs that we see on the property that we have located on the property to kind of look to see, like if there's 3 homes that have OSSFs that we have in our database, and then there's 4 homes next to each other that we don't have any OSSFs, we, based on our 911 locations, we add them as unpermitted. Let me do this. That was a lame excuse for an explanation. So let me get some more information, and I will be glad to share it with the group.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I'm gonna, any questions I don't get to, I'm gonna shoot them your way, Kathryn and Bill, and then we'll just provide them for the people in a follow-up.
I know there's
Kathy, did you jump on and wanted to say something, or? No? Okay. One question here that I think is a good to kind of get an idea is, on average, how long are new septic systems good for when properly maintained? Is there kind of a good timeline that you guys can share as far as like how long they're supposed to last?
I can give my thoughts, and Kathryn can disagree or agree or whatever. The old traditional septic systems had no mechanic, electrical, nothing. They were just basic gravity-fed systems. And if you kept them operating smoothly, they could run for years. And I'm talking 15, 20, 30, 40 years that might just need some small routine maintenance and some pump outs here to there. The new aerobic systems are more complicated. They have pumps, they have electric, a lot more things that can go wrong. Tend to be a lot more expensive to maintain, but they can still last easily 15 to 20 years, maybe even longer. So I don't know, Kathryn, I don't know what your experience is with that or not, but
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Fun. Thank you.
Maintenance is critical. And that goes back to what Kathryn was saying is, if after that maintenance agreement, if you put in a new system for them and after they don't maintain it after the first 2 years, that 20 years, 25 years might not happen. They're going to have to spend a lot of money to try to get it fixed or replaced again.
Okay. I think we'll maybe wrap up soon. Can you share the inspection checklist that is used to determine that the 12 to 13% of systems failed for? I think that's asking about the checklist. When you say 12 to 13% of systems fail, I think it's kind of talking about that stat. If there's an inspection checklist or more information about how you determine that is my guess.
I'd have to go back to our data group. We don't have it. We don't do it by an inspection list or any type of checklist like that, but they probably have some parameters they use to set that up. I can get that answered to you.
Okay. Can you share a little bit of how you make the bacterial load reduction calculation?
I can. Not right now. I will get you information on that's definitely not my realm, but I can get you that. So be glad to.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So we are just at time. So I will collect and gather any other questions that people throw in the chat. So if you have them, please throw them in there. And we will follow up with the email that has a link to the video, has both of Bill and Kathryn's contact information, and some more information about, some of these questions and stuff. So Kathryn and Bill, thank you so much for joining. This was fascinating. As you can tell from all the questions, people are very interested in this. So thank you for providing your expertise.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you everyone for joining us. Again, look out for next month's Lunch and Learn, which will be on freshwater inflows. Have a great day.